Welcome back. My next guest is Diane Serratore, the Executive Director of People to People. Welcome, Diane.
Hi, George. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
I'm so happy to have you back. And we were kind of joking, like if we were to give out an award for like the most appearances on Hometown Happenings, it's probably you, because you've been such a great guest, and we've done so many initiatives together between the town and People to People. And just People to People does such extraordinary work. So I just had to thank you for not only agreeing to be a guest, but for your work, and what you do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But again, I don't do this by myself. As you know, we do partner a lot with the towns, particularly with the town of Clarkstown. Your support has been incredible and vital to us. So thank you, and all the folks that work at the town of Clarkstown and live there.
Well, thank you for that. And I will tell you, it's we've known each other, I think, probably about 20 years now, 21 years now. I remember before you were with People to People, you were involved with a number of different other organizations. And when I was with Leadership Rockland, I used to see you through some events over there as well. But just absolutely remarkable career that you've had and continue to have with People to People. We're now into the new year, and the holiday season has kind of passed, and we have a coat drive that's going on now to try and help folks, and we'll talk about that. But you've had the blanket drive, and you did all the all the supportive work, and you partnered with us with 2 events for vets, for the Veterans Turkey giveaways, and I want to thank you for all that. But the end of the year, people give a lot, and then we get into January, and I know this having been an executive director, and it becomes like the giving wasteland, right, the desert, because people have kind of gone through, and the holidays passed, they're into the new year, and the need still continues. So maybe we could talk about that. What's going on with People to People now, and where's the need, and what can people do to help support?
You're right, George. For most nonprofits, they'll find that maybe 40% of their revenue comes in the last quarter of the year, which makes it kind of difficult to plan. So we need to raise enough money, and thank heavens we did, to make sure we can get through January, February, and March, a time when most folks aren't really thinking about charitable giving. The holidays are over, they're relaxed, everybody's taking a deep breath. But the fact is there are still, 2,800 Rockland individuals that are considered food insecure, and that doesn't stop just because the holidays are over. At People to People, we feed about 4,000 people a month. The numbers went up significantly during COVID. They went back down, but still 4,000 individuals a month is a lot, and about 49% of them are children. So during January and February, we need to focus on making sure people get fed. We are working with some organizations and some local restaurants. They were very aware during the holidays that that's when everybody gives, but in January and February, those are the cold months. Nobody's out shopping really, but people still need to eat. So we're working a little bit more on smaller initiatives, but I always say if everybody does a little bit, we can make a big difference. So we're very grateful for all the support from the businesses and the individuals in the town.
So let's talk a little bit about People to People. I mean, you're a pretty diverse organization located over in Nanuet. Tell us, a little bit about some of the different types of services, because you do so much, and I don't think people realize what goes into being like the food pantry, if you will, of Rockland County.
We work very closely with the Regional Food Bank, which is in Latham, and the Food Bank of the Hudson Valley, that's in Cornwall. We've tried to help them have a bit of a hub here in Rockland County. Many of the smaller faith-based and community pantries can't really drive up to Albany to pick up food. They don't have any storage space. They don't have refrigeration. So we have kind of become the storage space for them. They come to us once a month, we get deliveries in, and then they can take food that they need to service their clients, and the food bank delivers it to us for free, and the food is free. So it goes to the smaller faith-based and community pantries, because again, transportation is an issue here in Rockland County. One of the things that we're looking to work with the Regional Food Bank more, and perhaps even the County of Rockland, is mobile food pantries, like bringing the food to where people are. We certainly can't do home delivery the way Meals on Wheels does so wonderfully. We have 1,500 households, and that would be hard to do every month. But if we can figure out a way to partner with, the Havistraw Center, the NIAC Center, centers in communities that are underserved for the most part, and bring the food pantry to them instead of them having to get to us. So, we're working on that. Ken Zabrowski has gotten us 2 grants from the state, so sometimes it takes a little while to get those things, but we're working on that. And we have to start to look at how do we do things differently, because the problem isn't going away. Everybody's goal is to put ourselves out of business, and I don't see that happening anytime soon, sadly. But how do we do this different? How do we help our seniors better? Which is why we really are honored and appreciate the opportunity to partner with the veterans groups, because we do have a number of veterans that come to us, but this is the generation that does not accept charity.
Right.
And which is why I think the way you guys do it, it's like a gift. It's not a charity. But these folks need help too. And how do you do this while making sure they retain their dignity? It's hard to admit you need help.
And you go beyond that too. I mean, aside from with the food pantry services, and we're doing the coach ride, we'll talk about in a moment. But really, inflation, right? I mean, it's the most regressive tax out there, because it hits everybody, but the ones that it affects probably the most are the people that just can't afford it. I imagine a lot of your clients are just really struggling with just everything costs more.
Right. And that happens with seniors. Yes, they own their homes, but utilities go up, their medical expenses go up. Families, one of the reasons that we did the whole comfort part of Comfort and Joy was heating bills went up incredibly. So kids were actually asking for blankets. We need to kind of take a look at that moving forward. In the past, when I first got to people, we had like a family fund that helped with utilities and rent, but that just became such a cumbersome process. We had so little money to use on that, and it was taking up so much time, and people needed food. But one of the things that People to People does is we do a lot of information and referral. There are a lot of services for folks that need help. Honestly, lots of the people that come to People for help putting food on the table is one of their many issues.
Right.
So by working with the Mental Health Association and one-to-one learning, and particularly with Office for the Aging, we're able to kind of cobble together some series of services, because I don't think any organization should feel they have to do everything. They should just do what they're good at, and partner with others who know what they're doing in these areas. And so by collaborating and communicating with the different nonprofits and government entities that provide vital services, we do a better service for the folks that need help.
So let's talk about our coat drive. So we have a coat drive going on right now, and some people will say, "Wow, you're doing it in January. Why are you doing it in January?" But really, there's a whole method to that, right? So it's to also kind of replenish and restock. Talk a little bit about the coat drive and the need.
Kids need coats, adults need coats, and we had talked about it, and November is very Thanksgiving oriented. December, we've got a lot going on with food and the holidays, but we've come to find that winter is lasting a lot longer here. We used to think it's supposed to snow in January, but it snows in March and April. So everybody gets to regroup a little bit, and then we can do a better job of getting the coats we need to the people that need them. You've been there when you brought in the truckloads of coats, and you've seen folks, literally our clients, standing online saying, "Can we take these now? Can we take these now?"
Yeah.
Because they need them. Their kids grow. They need different coats. But again, it's providing warmth, and that's what I think is vital about the work we do. It is literally people helping other people. We couldn't do it without our volunteers. I mean, I'd say 98% of my workforce is volunteers. So it's from the warmth of their heart and the warmth of the hearts of the people in this community that donate their coats and help and support the initiatives that you guys constantly come up with, and we're very grateful. But again, we can all do little things, but it makes a big difference in the lives of people that have so much less.
Yeah, no, very, very much so. And look, I mean, I've got a great team here in the office. Erica and Lauren and Susan and Al and Rob and Anne-Marie and Michelle, and so they're really plugged into community service, and Jeff Gillies as well. And so people will call our office, and there's just tremendous need out there, and it's just great to have a partner such as yourself with People to People, because the amount of need that's out there, it's grown, and I think inflation has had has put a real big hurt, on it. We've also had people that have moved, from the area. We have a growing homeless issue here in Rockland and
Yes, we do.
Clarkstown. It's really more under the radar than it should be, and I think we need to do a better job from the government perspective in terms of trying to address that. We're doing what we can. We're referring people out, and our police are trying to work with folks, but we've had literally homeless encampments in different parts of the town here, that have grown, and that's all as a result. The pandemic, COVID, has really dealt our country and our community a pretty severe blow. There's just some people that they're not going back to work, or they've changed how they do things. There are others that exacerbated underlying medical and mental health issues, and so what do? All of a sudden, you find yourself, not able to work or experiencing, mental health trauma, and where are the places they're going to be able to, to turn? And it's like you said, people are receiving different services. They're receiving services from you, but they're receiving services from others as well. And so really what it comes down to is, trying to meet that need, and that's what you really do.
Well, the homeless situation is frightening, actually, and the fact that it is so under the radar. I mean, in my community in Nyack, we know who they are. We see them, or Catholic Charities does an incredible job working with the county on the warming centers, but, what do you do after 6 o'clock in the morning?
Right.
Right. That's the challenge.
See, and that's always been my issue, because look, when Helping Hands did it, and I volunteered for Helping Hands for years, and with with the old model where you drive your car, my kids did it with me and my wife, where we would pick people up in Spring Valley and drive them to whatever house of worship, and it's the old New York City model. When I was in the college seminary, I actually ran the homeless shelter there. And we were under that model, where literally the city, we housed 20 males in the basement of the college seminary in Douglas, Queens. And for 2 years, I actually ran it. And literally, the city, we stocked it up. They brought out beds and everything else, and they would bring them out at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and they would come in and pick them up at 6:30, 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, and then bus them and just drop them on the streets. And that's what it was. And so here, the model has been in Rockland. We have the drop-in, the warming center, and there's some wraparound services. But honestly, in a community of this size, well over 300,000 people, we probably need our own homeless shelter.
We do.
And I think it would relieve some of the issues that some of the towns are facing with what happens with people that are literally pitching a camp in the back of a park.
Right.
Now, we move them and we try and get them into a place where we make them comfortable and try and get them, to get help and services. But some people just won't ask. And it's not even just those camps that are popping up in places like Spring Valley and, behind like a supermarket or what have you. It's the people that are living out of their car or they're couch surfing.
And that exactly has happened to us. One of the things we require kind of is just proof of residency. Do you live in Rockland County? And there's been a number of occasions where people have come in and said, well, we live in our car, and it's in Rockland County.
Right.
So trying to provide them with food that they can eat that they don't need to cook.
Right.
They don't need a can opener for.
Right.
So we do have those kind of packages for folks. I mean, there's been people that have come in and asked me to help them buy, propane for their range that they are using out in their grill that they're using out in the forest. We're not in that business, and we don't want to be the one that starts forest fires.
Right.
But how do you help folks that are off the grid and don't have even the most basic tools? Why do you give somebody? You can't give them things that need to be refrigerated. They don't have a refrigerator. So, trying to come up with like good to go packages that they can actually utilize without having to cook the food.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think there are issues. I think the good news is people are at least starting to talk about them a little bit more. We know everybody knows that Rockland's an affluent community. We hear that all the time.
Right.
And again, you see it in a lot of communities. A lot of the new buildings are for the less than, they're less than affordable.
Right.
What do you do about that? And unless we can figure out how to make it possible for people of all income levels and to somehow sustain themselves here, it's just going to be a challenge, and it's going to be a particular challenge for the organizations that work with the folk at the lower end of the socioeconomic scale, because they have the hardest row to hoe and the longest way to go to any kind of financial stability.
No,
So-
I totally agree. So Diane, I know we're just about out of time, but I want to give the opportunity for residents now. We're into the new year. We're through the holiday season. Don't let the charitable giving go to the side. So people can volunteer and they can give in any way, and no gift is too small or too
Absolutely.
big. So how do people get in contact with you? How do people donate and contribute to help people?
They can go to our website, www.peopletopeopleinc.org. I am thrilled as all get out to say that we have a volunteer coordinator, which makes my life a lot easier. Just going to put that out there.
Right.
Sharon has done an incredible job. You know, we were very hard hit during COVID. Many of our volunteers are seniors, and many of them came from corporate groups who all were working remotely at their homes in Orange County. So not helpful to us. But we've been able to rebuild a lot of that, so they can contact Sharon. It's all on our website. People can make a financial donation on our donate button. And
So explain that, because that's important, because you know it's the old saying, if you don't ask, you don't know, right?
Right.
So and it may not happen, but you know we're asking, and I'm asking the residents of Clarkstown to continue to be generous. So how do they donate? They can go right on and
they can go right onto our website, and believe me, there's like 5 different places where you can click donate, click donate. You can decide which program do you want to do. Feeding people, do you want to do children only, do you want to do back to school supplies? So they can make that choice. Also, I send out 4 letters a year. The response is incredible. They're appeal letters, and you know, we get hundreds and hundreds of responses, and some people send in big checks, but there's times when I've gotten 5 single dollar bills, and this gets me a little emotional, from someone who, you know, that's what they could do.
right.
But that meant a lot to them, and it means a lot to me, because we can help feed people with $5. We can feed a lot more people with $5,000, but again, it's the cumulative effect of everybody working together to make our community a better place for everyone. So if they go to the website, they'll see all of the staff that we have here. We also have a new director of feeding programs. Again, because we need to start to look at how do we do this a little differently. You know, we can't solve an ever-increasing problem by doing things the same way.
Right. Great. And we have to be flexible. And I look forward to continuing to partner with you. I mean, now my 4th term as supervisor, so the next 2 years we'll continue to work and partner together. I look forward to supporting the back to school drive, again doing the fall drives again for the holidays later in the year, and whatever we can do to help. I know we oftentimes we collect cans at some of our events, and we'll continue to do that as well, so people can be able to continue to support through the town of Clarkstown. And we're delighted to have you here, not just as our guest, but you're not-for-profits in our town.
Yes, it is. And we're very happy. Again, people have said, well, why don't you move to Haverstraw? We are centrally located here. Buses can get to us from 59, from 304, from 303. You have to take that into consideration, too.
Right.
Like, where's the... And the other part is, frankly, it's easy for donors to get to us. When we do big food drives, like at Thanksgiving, it's easy for folks to get to us to donate. Unless we can make it easy for folks to give us food, we're not going to have food to hand out.
Oh, great.
So being in Nanuet has worked out incredibly well for us.
Agreed.
I want my own building. We're working on that, but, we'll get there.
But and we'll help however we can. But and I was going to say it was really because you're in the best town, because it's the best town.
Yes, I do live in Orangetown, and I don't want to resist. But I do love your pools. Luckily, I have sisters who live in Clarkstown, so that works out great for me.
Right. So we won't send the code enforcement officers over. I'm teasing. But anyway, Diane, thank you so much for your friendship. Thank you for your service in running one of Rockland's great not-for-profits and helping literally thousands of people every year. Thank you.
And our board appreciates all your support as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.